On this day, 5 years ago, on February 28, 2014, the Orange Democratic Party ODM had planned its national party elections. Two positions were hotly contested that saw fault lines form within the party that led to the formation of two camps. Now everything seemed on course until when a gang of youth dressed in black stormed the venue and scuttled the election in what insiders say was the only way to save the Orange Party. ODM Men in Black fiasco, the untold story. My name is Duncan Haemba. Infamous dramatic scenes at the Kasarani Gymnasium on Friday, 28 February 2014. Pandemonium as panic gripped ODM delegates present. The planned party election was thrown into disarray. A gang of youth had invaded the election venue. They were christened Men in Black. The chaos that reigned was a culmination of deep-seated rivalry between a group of young thugs calling themselves Team Fresh, led by Pius Tofik Ababu Namwamba Smart, Mombasa Governor Hassan Ali Joho, his Turkana counterpart Josephat Colin Anok, and Adan Kainan, among others. This team was going head-to-head with Team Zani, which was led by then-nominated Senator Dr. Agnes Zani, Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Ambesa Oparanya, the late Homa Bay Senator Gerald Otieno Kajwang, Dr. Paul Nyongesa Otuoma, and George Aladwa. It was the cutthroat competition between these two camps that polarized the party in the run-up to the polls. The giant Orange Party was staring at a possible split. Nominated Member of Parliament Isaac Mwaura was vying for Deputy Secretary General position under the so-called Team Fresh.
And for about 2 months, we electrified the country, really, with our antiques and theatrics, moving around the country in choppers and vehicles to look for votes from the delegates. We really crisscrossed this country. It was very ecstatic, and also we realized that we could successfully actually conduct a presidential campaign with very limited resources.
Team Fresh ran a well-oiled and coordinated campaign in readiness for the party takeover, a matter that rattled bigwigs within ODM. Those within party leader Raila Odinga's inner circle knew it was time to stop the young thugs one way or the other.
Wale tulikuwa forefront ni Mheshimiwa Kajwang alijua, marehemu, Gavana Oparanya alijua, kwa sababu mimi nilikuwa kwa kampi yake kama deputy party leader, nilikuwa kwa kampi yake kama organizing secretary, na hiyo lineup yake yote ilijua. Kwa sababu tulikuwa shajua ile lineup nyingine, lineup ambayo imewekwa na NSIS, na kuna vile walikuwa shapanga na wanaendelea. So tukajua hapa tukienda hivi watatushinda kwa flow, kwa sababu walikuwa na support ambaye haikueleweka inatoka wapi.
As fate would have it, there were those who were preferred. There were those of us who Raila Odinga told me, we have nominated you to Parliament to represent persons with disabilities. Why do you then want to be the Deputy Secretary General? I was a bit slighted by that. And also, because it was out of voluntary spirit. And I actually wanted to see what it would mean, because I actually wanted to run on an ODM ticket in Nairobi County for the 2017 general elections.
We had impregnable evidence that there are others who had infiltrated the party. And they are still around here, these Tanga boys.
However, the most contested position was that of Party Secretary General. The party's founding SG, Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o, was calling it a day after being in charge for 8 years. His succession had attracted firebrand then Budalangi lawmaker Ababu Namwamba and nominated senators Agnes Zani and Elizabeth Ongoro. To complicate matters even more, Namwamba and Ongoro were both in Team Fresh and were taking the fight down to the wire.
And at some point, there was an agreement that Elizabeth Ongoro and Ababu should campaign together, and one of them will step down for the other. It didn't work out that way. In the end, Elizabeth still went to the ballot, but there were essentially two teams. What happened is that there were also internal dynamics within those teams.
And imagine you just see things flying on your face.
Judy Pareno was the new chairperson of the National Elections Board. Having served for about 6 years and witnessed how heated elections within the party always turned out, she says she thought her team had put their best foot forward.
Prior to that day, we, as usual, there's so much competition in ODM, and normally I'm very careful about how we arrange our security, because we've had a lot of security breaches in other areas. So I was so keen about having proper security. And on that day, we had over 200 police officers.
It now emerges that on the eve of the elections at Kasarani, party leader Raila Odinga convened 2 meetings on that night as his final push to have the Joho Ababu and Oparanya Zani camps strike a consensus to avert a potential split. It was also a night when the final plans to disrupt the election are said to have been finalized.
But the night before, 2 things happened. One is that there was a meeting that Raila Odinga called at Villarosa, Kempinski, to try and find a compromise between the two camps. So they went there and the meeting became very acrimonious. I think there was an exchange of words, and it was not funny, because then I came to learn that there were goons that were being organized to come and disrupt the elections in Kasarani. And the people who are being mentioned was Rashid Echesa, the current CS. He needs to talk about it. Maybe he's not a politician anymore. He used to be our youth leader then. And Otieno Kajwang. Ndolo had warned Ababu when Ababu seemed to be preferring Rosa Buyu. Ababu was preferring Rosa Buyu because Ababu ticket was the most, it was the hottest thing in town.
From Waiyaki, Odinga moved to meet Team Zani along Ngong Road, all in an effort to avoid a showdown. However, it is at this meeting where Odinga was informed that no election would take place, an idea the party leader is said to have rejected.
Baba alijua hii maneno na ni kitu ambayo tuwezi kuweka ati sasa tutaweka chini ya meza watu wakose kujua. Baba nilimwambia mimi mwenyewe hakusupport the idea, lakini nilimwambia hii mambo itaeleweka kesho na hii uchaguzi wa ODM haitafanyika, watu wagawane viti.
The night-long shuttle diplomacy had failed, but Odinga had not despaired. In his final attempt to save the polls, he convened a crisis meeting on election day at the VIP area before candidates entered the gymnasium where delegates were waiting.
We had a conversation there, and I remember asking Raila Odinga about the issue. He told me, your team met me yesterday as I was not able to come, but he told me he feared that one team would take over and defeat the other. And he had legitimate concerns because obviously there are people who said that they were being preferred, but also I think he wanted to maintain the parties so that it remains intact. I told him no. Democracy always produces mixed results. Because even in our own team, we had more than one person for the same position.
The Rubicon had been crossed. The hour of reckoning had come and the elections got underway. On the side, plans to scuttle the exercise were also set. The hired gang masquerading as delegates had taken positions, dressed in black suits and ready to swing into action.
One of the board. Order, 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 order. Order, 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 order. Hapana haribu mali ya chama. Order, order, order.
However, they didn't know how to strike until an opportunity presented itself. Then ODM nominated Member of Parliament Isaac Mwaura innocently walked into a trap. He showed up to protest a list that was being distributed among delegates, allegedly to influence voting. His name was missing from the list, claimed to have been generated by another faction within their Team Joho Ababu camp.
It's at that point, I knew now I had to do the needful. And on that same table that I was told nothing could be done, I climbed on top of that table with my lists and I shouted, "This is rigging!" This is rigging! And it's like people are waiting for the opportune moment. Because the moment I started saying, "This is rigging, we are a democratic party, and both of you." Then I had the Ochieng Jera. Ochieng Jera was the chairman of ODM in Langata. Started saying, "We want a voter register." How he got the microphone, I don't know.
We want the register from here before election takes place. Without register, there is no election. We want the
And then all of a sudden I saw, man, they came in and, you know, exactly, and the whole place was chaos. People started throwing bottles at me with water and what have you, and the police came in and terrible, terrible, terrible.
Order!
Mwaura found himself in uncharted waters. And he was being used without knowing that he was being used. I think he was very innocent, but he was being used without knowing that he was being used. Although I don't know why later on he seemed to have been working with the same people who were using him. So Mwaura is a complicated gentleman. You know, he's an interesting fellow. But that is how it happened.
I went down to ask what is happening, and I remember asking the security that we had from, you remember we have the police at the main entrance, but the police are not inside the hall. Inside the hall we had our own security personnel who are dressed in black from Orange House, and who I know. And I went to the head of their team, and I asked them, "Excuse me, can you ensure that these people do not come closer to the boxes? I don't want anybody near these ballot boxes." So immediately I said that, as I was now wondering how they'll be pushed, because they were already now, it's like they were coming up and there were many. As I was now going to the exit, I summoned a police officer. As I was talking to the police officer, then I had noise from behind because I was on the other side. I turned only to see Mwaura, Honorable Isaac Mwaura, who is now a nominated senator like me. We are in the Senate, on top of a table and making noise and shouting. Then I saw the ballot boxes flying left, right, and center, being destroyed. All those, they called later on, Kuguru is the one who gave them the name Men in Black. So Kuguru announced, "This Men in Black, can you push it, can you get out?" By the time he was saying that, we just saw the boxes and everything flying up.
When Team Fresh decided to freshen their lists, to refresh their lists by doing away with some of us, that is what provided the perfect opportunity for the others, because we ran on a campaign that hatutachaguliwa watu. Let the people decide. Then on the other side, we are also deciding for the people internally. So that became a contradiction. It became a big contradiction, and it cost us big time. I genuinely supported Ababu na Mamba. In fact, I used to go around saying, "Ababu anajababu, Ababu anajawabu, Ababu ndio sababu." But yeye na Joho ndio walinifanyia hiyo maneno.
Yeye alikuwa tu anasimama independent kama candidate. So yeye alipoenda pale, yeye hakujua nini inaendelea, kwa sababu sisi tulikuwa na signals zetu wenyewe.